We need your support. Click the like buttons below. Now onto the video. Welcome to readtheticker.com. The topic of discussion is the Dow 2020 crash going to be a mirror of the 1929 Dow crash? My argument is very unlikely. Now first we have to understand what we know in 1929. And if you want an education on what we know in 1929, the policies and how the events unfolded, go to readtheticker.com, select information and scroll down to the Great Crash 1929 and spend some hours watching the video series. The Great Crash 1929, there's 6 parts there, and the one from Classic Capital, which is the better one, 6 parts video here. Okay, and the short story is obviously the 1920s roared it up, a lot of easy money, it popped. The shares are concentrated in a small number of families. They tanked it, had a typical bounce, automatic reaction, you might say. But the most critical factor is around about here, which is about the 66% mark. The Congress, in their panic, passed an act which was defensive for the US economy and shrunk demand and created more tariffs on the rest of the world. So business had less demand to sell, for their products. So they could only sell inside the United States, and they couldn't export. Whereas they really needed a lot of demand to get the thing back going and up. And it wasn't until World War II that things really did pick up. They really didn't start money printing until around here and here, and that's where they stopped. The old great 1937 crash, or sell-off, I should say. That's when they stopped and things came off. Okay, that's like that. For example, QE, and that's QT. That's when they stopped. But if they hadn't have done this act in Congress and looked inward, thinking they were keeping all the demand in the United States, there wasn't enough demand in the United States. They should have allowed demand to come from international shores, and that would have slowed the decline and gave more hope. And they had to fix it by doing QE. So back here, the policymakers were newbies, and they were first timers and only getting a handle of it. So the question is, will we get a 1929 like that? And for simple reason, I don't believe the current policymakers are that naive and that ignorant to allow such a mistake. They're already doing QE, and they might even, obviously Trump might have to walk back the tariffs. So what is on the table is something like that. Now let's draw a bigger box. A, B, C. Okay. So at the moment, let's look at the current situation. Q. So we got an A, we'll get a B around here somewhere, and we might get a C around here. And I think 15,000 is about 50%, isn't it? 60%. So that's, I believe, is a possible target. And a worst case scenario, a really, really worst case scenario, is a spike down to about the 11,000 mark, which would be pretty horrific, of course. But the policymakers that are alive today, they know what happened in this environment. They had a test run here and how to sell it with the politics, and they're pretty much rolling out the swap lines, rolling out the balance sheet. Central banks around the world are all tied in. I think Naomi Prince's book is saying they're all working cahoots, right? Balance sheets are expanding. So they've had their training day here, let's call that training day, and they're executing their training day here. So for the central bankers to fail after having a training day, they're not naive, they're not first timers, unlike what went on in 1929. They can print and print and print. Sure, the timing might be frustrated, there might be some delays, there might be some hiccups, but they will print and print and print. And I'm going to quote Luke Roman here. He believes they'll bail out everything, even the euro-dollar market if they have to, which would cost $34 trillion. So their balance sheets could be, at the moment their balance sheet's gone to $6 trillion, will go to 10, to 15, to 20, on and on and on. And it's not just the federal balance sheet, it's also the Treasury Department. The Federal Reserve can't buy stocks, but the Treasury Department can. The plunge protection team is already buying junk bonds. So what's going on now is we don't have any newbies, policies are extreme, So how could the Dow 2020 possibly look like 1929 and break, say, below 10,000 or 12,000? That would have to be really bad luck with a virus. It might turn into something else, or another virus comes out and hurts the world. Multiple waves, or very, very stupid policymakers. Now, I'm not advocating money printing. It's just what we're living in, because at the moment it's well known that the US economy is the US stock market, and if all parties in the US economy, that's the politicians, national defence, that's Pentagon, and even the spooks, need to have the prices up to keep the economy up so they can pay for all their toys and all their bases around the world. So it's a national security interest to keep the stock market up. So the stock market highly correlated to the economy, which is highly correlated to all the money printing by the Federal Reserve around the world. So yes, we still might get some lows. We'll get some dollar strength as we find out how much damage has been done. You know, the kitchen sink damage, to find out what's going on, so they can work out who needs bailouts. But there'll be a timing lag. There'll be mess ups by Congress, and Democrats will play games, what have you. So will the Republicans. So yes, it may not be plain sailing. So yes, an ABC wave can be expected. It's very unlikely you won't get a C wave, but the C wave should be muted by all the money printing coming in. And yes, money printing does work. It does get stocks higher. You just have to look at Zimbabwe and Venezuela, or Turkey. You know, get along what their stock market did. So stocks become an inflation hedge, and a purchasing power defence for excessive money printing, as well as gold and gold stocks, and obviously Bitcoin and that sort of stuff. So the odds of a 1929 like scenario happening again are much, much lower than people think. Back here they were newbies and they passed an act which shrunk demand and it went down there. I think it might have been a bit of, if you're a conspiracy theory, I think it was actually planned to get down there to transfer wealth, but unlikely to happen again. Thanks for watching.